It's not possible! No one's ever been able to...
Hey everyone, my name is Abhi, otherwise known as Dr. Galaxy. Welcome to today's impromptu Galaxy deck profile video, which I had no idea was happening today when I came here. But in other news, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so I play 45 cards. We're gonna be talking like a little bit about like card choice, the numbers. You should turn it behind you. Alright, anyway. So we're going to be discussing card choice, we're going to be discussing card quantity. Other than that, yeah, we're going to be explaining why 45 cards. This is a post-fusion sort of beta. It's been working out for me so far, but it's been working out. Let's jump right into it. Okay. Come closer, child. Alright. So.
This is too close.
Probably. you want. Let's do it here. Yeah, why not? I like his mat. This is our buddy Aiden's mat, otherwise known as, I think, let's just call him Morning Squad Degenerate, right?
Okay.
Oh right, Dolce Matricia, that's his name, or something like that. Whatever. All right. So to start off, one of the new cards, Galaxy Braver. So I play 2. I think 3 is a little bit excessive, and 1 you don't really see it that often. It's a good tech choice. That's why having it at 2 is nice, because you'd rather have it than not. It's not like one of those cards that you want to draw into necessarily. What this card allows you to do is it sort of lets you extend your plays a little bit, just in case that like a punish might come through. So it's a good card to have in your hand as a starter. A lot of the Galaxy cards require that you have something else out on the board in order to summon them to some degree. So having this is a good way to start that off. That's what this card does for the deck, is it's a pretty good starter card. Also, it can change its level from 8 to 4 if you want that. Good for the, it's good for making rank 4s and going into the Link Monster. As you can see, we have a bunch of amazing people over the whole Forbidden Squee squad, if you'd like to tilt the camera that way.
That's a very common
Hence the impromptu nature of this video. Okay, in other words, let's move on. Alright, so it's Galaxy Braver. 2, Brave, excuse me, Braver is the OCG name, but Galaxy Brave. 2 copies. Alright. So, bread and butter. 3 night. Yeah.
Like they just have midgets.
3 Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon.
Is that pretty standard?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, yeah, let's talk about that. I've seen people use 2 Night. I've seen people use 2 Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon. I'm not a fan of 2 because this is really a card that you want in your hand, and there are other ways to get rid of it if you happen to have it in your hand and don't really need it, like you have excess. Sometimes that happens where you'll have excess cards, but as you'll see later on, there are other cards that you can use to help get rid of them. Or having excess isn't always a bad thing either, because having excess means that you might have a play next turn on top of the play that you have this turn, with say like 2 Night. And having maybe an Exceed monster that happens to stick around. Some of these are actually kind of hard to kill. This deck by no means is meta, per se, and it's in no means able to necessarily compete extremely well with the meta and like expect to keep some of your monsters on board. But in our group so far, I've been able to keep around maybe an Exceed 1 or 2 turns because of just the ability to stun your opponent. Yeah, so I like 3 because having Knight is good for having in your hand, so having 1 or more isn't always a bad thing. It's your bread and butter. It's the best way to make your Exceed monster. As for 3 hey, you want this to be in depth, don't you rush me. Okay. So, 3 Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon, why not 2? 3 because this is one of the cards that you really want in your hand. There are multiple ways to get them out, even if you do happen to have access, so you can have one in your hand. The Link monster utilizes Galaxy Eyes as a way to ditch it in order to stop a special summon. It's really, really important to have this in your hand, so I don't like 2. I'd rather have 3. Best chance to draw it. Also, good way in case you run out, say. Because sometimes
You want to see it in your hand?
Yeah, I'd rather have it in my hand than not. You want it in the graveyard, but there are so many ways to pitch it or summon it from your hand that it's good to have it 3. Okay. Okay, one of the ways to pitch it, and one of the better additions to this deck, Galaxy Soldier. So Galaxy Soldier allows you to pitch a light monster and add a Galaxy card from your deck to your hand. This is just a quick combo. Pitch Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, this with Soldier, summon this with the fact that you have Soldier on board, allows you to normal summon this without tribute, then you can special summon Galaxy Eyes with Galaxy Knight's effect, and then this is a quick rank 8. Probably one of the faster ways to make a rank 8 in this deck, and extremely helpful. This card allows you to search, obviously, more than just Galaxy, well, I mean, not more than just Galaxy cards, but allows you to search more than just Galaxy Knight. You can search another copy of this, go into a rank 5, specifically Nova, and then into Infinity, but there are a lot of options with Soldier, so there's a lot of added flexibility that this card adds to the deck. Having it at 3 is extremely important, especially as a searcher, as it is, and having a card on the board. Yeah, this is another one of those cards where this is a card that you can have on the board for the additional cards that require a card on the board. Like Knight, for example. Alright. New card from White Dragon Abyss. Photon Orbital. So you'll see a lot of, obviously, new cards in this deck, but
Is that
this
ultra
is...
rare?
Huh? I believe it's... I have no idea. I think it's super, actually. In any case, oh my god, they are so expensive. It was such a drag to get them. But they are absolutely amazing in this deck.
They look nice.
Yeah, they do look nice. They're a lot better than the Orbital 7 that we had earlier on. But Photon Orbital, what it lets you do is you can attach it to a monster you have, like any Galaxy or Photon monster you have. What you can do then is detach it, or like send it as an equip to the graveyard. And then when you send it as an equip to the graveyard, it lets you search out a Photon or Galaxy monster. So it's pretty much just a free rota. It's also a target for Photon Change. We'll get into that later. And it's a great card to have to search out other stuff. It's pretty much a free search. So, and searching is pretty important to have, like the Soldier, Knight, Galaxy Eyes in your hand. So getting those to your hand is pretty important. This helps you do it. Also, there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do with this as well. Namely, I guess I might as well bring this up. This gives a monster 500 attack, and it prevents it from being destroyed by battle. So it's pretty nice to have on something like, say, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, which, if you have a Photon, it can't be destroyed by a card effects, excuse me. So he can still be targeted, but you can negate monster effects with him, and if you attach this to it, it gains 500 attack, and it can't be destroyed by battle. So that's pretty good. Adds additional ways for it to just, like, not be destroyed. And in certain situations, it becomes better depending on the deck you face. So there's a lot of flexibility with that card. Next, sort of flexible card. 3 Galaxy Wizard. Another bread and butter card of the deck. It's a nice card to have because it searches out any Galaxy card. You're not restricted to monsters with this one, so you can search out a spell or trap if you'd like. You can also make this card level 8, which helps with the Galaxy Expedition. Won't get too much into that because we've already been getting into a lot of the major combos, or at least bringing them up. But why 3 as opposed to 2? 2 would work just fine as well. Honestly, it's just not something I've tested out too much, I would say, but 3 is nice because having it in your hand again to like pitch for a card, or this is like one of the cards you can summon. The only downside is there's no way to special summon this one from your hand. You'd have to normal it, so normaling this, not always the best option, especially if it just gets stopped and then you're kind of screwed out of the rest of your turn necessarily. But starting with this as a normal summon, as this being one of your normal summons, is it's good because you can search a card out easily with this. Having utility or the ability to access your Galaxy spell and trap card toolbox is pretty important. It's really useful in this deck. The spells and traps are very powerful, so having access to them is really nice. This is also one of the few cards that you do normal summon. Most of the cards in this deck tend to be special summons, so having something like for a normal summon is good to have, just so you're not wasting the fact that you have a normal summon. So this is one of those cards. Especially if you have a play already that doesn't involve a normal summon, having this as an extra search just through a normal summon is nice to have.
I'm dead.
Another one of the normal summons in the deck, Galaxy Cleric. New card choice. Why two? One is great. One is a great option to have. In fact, if I was to run competitively, probably one would be a better choice. But the reason why two is because this is this is a 45 card deck. You go through your extra deck very, very quickly. So it's good to have the ability to recycle on a whim, especially if you have an Exceed monster out on the board. Normal summon this, send back some of the possible Exceed monster overlay, like stuff that you have, like Galaxy has full armor, Cipher Blade, Dark Matter, being able to recycle those very quickly, and like say the first Galaxy Eyes XYZ monster that you sent, or some of the Link monsters. Some of the Galaxy Eyes Link monsters that you might have in your graveyard. Being able to recycle those is really, really important. So you can just go through the same process again and get through pretty much a lot of value. So, it's a good card to have. Two is good for what I've been playing with so far. One is probably fine in a more competitive version. Okay. Is there anything else you want me to really talk about so far? Like, am I missing anything?
No, that's good. I think you're going pretty in depth with it.
Okay. I could be going more in depth, but like, I think we should save that for like.
Abhi is also the best
later
pilot
video.
we know for galaxies.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do these. Our Photon Warriors, Thrasher, and Vanisher. So Photon Thrasher, good card to have. Just a solid special summon to get things started. He's a level 4 as well, so you can make rank 4s with him. He's also a good card to go into like a Link monster. So like having this and Soldier. Say you're making a rank 8. Having this in the beginning with Soldier and Galaxy Eyes lets you summon this, and then you can summon Soldier, and then with that you can make the Link monster with those two, while you have Knight and Galaxy Eyes to make a rank 8 with. So this is good to have just as an extra. Also
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also the fact that this is special summonable from the hand as a starter lets you special summon him. So, Vanisher. Currently 2. I need 3. So I've ordered 1. Again, this is a little bit beta, but there's definitely be 3, and I'll probably cut this down 1. So we could say like, 3, 1. But 2 so far, 2 has been doing nicely, but what I've found is in most situations, you really want this card in your hand because it gets you Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon to your hand. And that has been really, really nice to have. Having Galaxy Eyes in your hand starts a lot of combos, especially with Soldier, and it helps with the Link, it helps with, let's see, what else does it help with? Helps with Braver, helps with pitching, yeah, especially helps with the Link because it's such a good effect to be able to stop your opponent's special summons. So just being able to pitch that is good for it as well. Not a whole lot more to say about that. It's also good for the rank 4. Just really, 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 really good card. So I would absolutely recommend using 3 of these, especially because you can just summon it. So it's good for pretty much fodder for anything that you want to summon. Rank 4 and Link monster wise, but yeah, cool. All right, I don't think I want. Yeah, this card's just been extremely, extremely good. So I often want it more than I've been getting it. So having 3 is absolute necessity, and having 1 less of this would be fine as a substitute. The one
gosh.
Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon. He's adorable. He's also
You're adorable.
Thanks. What I've found is Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon is a great way to bring back an XYZ monster and XYZ climb. So going up into other Galaxy Eyes XYZs, this is a great way to do it. Plus this attaches it, so if you have like a full armor engrave, you can normal summon this, bring back full armor, then attach this as a material, and then you can just destroy a card. So it's pretty much a one card revival card. That's why it's also at 1. This is also a target for Accelight, and it works with Tachyon transmigration if you brick. So it's a pretty nice card, pretty fun card. Also the artwork is amazing. Yeah. Okay, I think that wraps up the monster count. Alright, on to spells and traps. What? Matt? Going
We're
to
done with
death.
the monsters yet?
Yeah, we're talking about a lot of stuff here.
Photon's not BA.
Okay. So, 3 Photon Sanctuary, instant link monster. The stipulation of it only being light monster summoned for the rest of the turn is not a problem for this deck.
Yeah,
so it's
this is
much
pretty
the only
standard.
thing, yeah. Your summoning in this deck is light, except for Dark Matter, which is a dark, but as we'll see later, you don't really use them anymore. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, technically, yeah,
So Photon Sanctuary, running 3, instant link monster, instant way to get a Photon monster on board for some of the other stuff that you want, like Knight and like Vanisher. Cool. 3 is really good. Being able to make the link monster instantly is really, really nice, because then you can just bring something back from your graveyard to your hand if you need to, or to your extra deck for that matter. Alright. The 2 ofs, some of the more powerful spells and traps for galaxies.
That only comes as a common.
Huh?
That only
This
comes
is
as a
not.
common.
This is not common. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's super.
Boy. What are you talking
Might
about?
be.
Okay. So, ooh, actually, let's bring out the other one as well. Stream. We'll talk about this one last, because it's a more interesting choice that I've actually made over the past few weeks. But otherwise, 2 Galaxy 0, 2 Galaxy Expedition, 2 Galaxy Trance, 2-0. 2-0 is good. I'm thinking about making 1 for this one. It's useful. It's good to, like, if you get screwed over, it's good, like, to just bring back a Galaxy monster in case you get stopped somehow, or, like, someone removes one of your cards. It's good for reviving XYZ's, the XYZ climb. It's good to bring back a Galaxy Eyes if you need it, for Photon Change. There's a lot of good things that you can do with this card. The only unfortunate thing is, yeah, your effects you can't use your effects. And that you can't attack, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not like as a card, it's a good card. It's not like the best. Like currently, like these other spells and traps are like leaps and bounds more like useful that I've found so far. So I would think about maybe putting this to 1, maybe putting this to 3. This is me a little.
That's
bit
good for Xyz and Link.
Yeah, exactly. On to the next one. Galaxy Expedition. So Expedition is okay. We're gonna get a little controversial here. This card is probably one of the best cards in this deck. Competing with this now, but this card is one of the best cards in this deck. Why is that? This, if you have a level 5 or higher, you can summon another level 5 or higher Galaxy or Photon monster to the field. That is extremely useful.
That's powerful.
Especially, if you don't have enough resources to summon multiple, if you have this, you can summon one from your deck. That's great. 2, the only stipulation here is that it summons it in defense, but that's not as big of a deal if you plan to make a Link monster or an XYZ monster, which is usually what you'll end up doing with this. 2, if you get screwed over by your opponent somehow, this is a great way to get back in it. By being able to summon another Galaxy monster that's 5 or higher from your deck. So this is a great card to get not only stuff in your grave, but you can also summon Soldier off of this and get its effect to work if you haven't used it yet. It's a great way to just cycle cards, get to your Link monsters, get to your XYZ monsters. I think this is a great card. If I was to drop 1 of the 0, then I would be willing to put in 1 more of Expedition. Because it's just a great card to have in your hand.
Why don't you run 3 Expedition and drop a 0?
When this card gets cloggy, it's bad.
Okay. Like if you don't have targets.
Like if you have, not just that. If you have 3 of them, or 2 of them, you don't want 2 of them in your hand. Having 1 is great. Having an extra one doesn't really do anything for you. But I would consider, I wouldn't have any opposition to running 3, so 3 would be good as well. Yeah, and if you wanted to drop a 0, you could as well. Both of these are searchable by Galaxy Wizard, and so is the next one. So that's what makes it even more useful. Galaxy Trance. Other arguable card that's been really, really good. Postal Fusion support. You can only summon Galaxies and Photon monsters with this card. But, which actually has some surprising stipulations with the Galaxy as archetype. It means you can't summon stuff like Tachyon Dragon, for instance, which is not considered a Galaxy monster because it has Galaxy dash eyes, all one word.
Ooh.
So you technically can't summon that, which is kind of annoying, but not the biggest deal in the world. What you can do with this is you summon 2 Galaxy, or you summon one Photon monster from your graveyard and summon a Galaxy counterpart to the field. Both their effects are negated and their attack is 2,000. The uses of it are pretty endless.
John.
Oh, you doxed him.
And then that post.
Okay.
That's his first name. Dude
Yeah.
can't pick one name.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's true, huh? Okay. So Trance is its flexibility is quite endless. You can make the Link monster with it, as it sort of depicts in the card. You can make an XYZ monster with it. You can make rank 4, rank 8. It's a great card to bounce back if you get in trouble from your opponent doing something to your board, as long as you haven't summoned a Galaxy or a Photon monster to the board yet. Yeah. Or as long as you haven't summoned something else, apologies, like Overlay Booster or something if you're running something techy. But yeah, this card is great. It's an instant, yeah. It's an instant Link, instant possible rank 4, and instant possible rank 8. Really, really useful.
Alexa's calling me too. Can you call her?
Sorry.
You call Alexa.
When your friends don't
Oh,
pay
is she
attention
outside
to you.
too now or what?
Okay, last choice.
She's actually just outside or what?
Last card. Point. Yeah, let's keep doing this one. Alright. 2 Photon Stream of Destruction. So, why 2? One is good as well, but I find 2 to be a little bit more interesting because this card is a target banish as opposed to just a target destroy. So this avoids destroying and it avoids sending to the graveyard. Also, it's not stipulative of a spell or trap. You can pretty much target anything your opponent controls. It's really, really useful. It has just a 1-card removal card as long as you have Galaxy Eyes on the field. Most of your XYZs are Galaxy Eyes. Most in your Galaxy Eyes is obviously a Galaxy Eyes. So having those on board is an easy way to just get rid of something instantly that can be targeted.
How often do you use it on your opponent's turn?
Not very. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't really find myself using this on my opponent's turn very often. The thing about this is there's a restriction that makes it so that you can't use it on your opponent's turn unless you specifically control a Galaxy Eyes Photon.
Yeah.
Most of the time, this is a card to just... It's not a reactive card for me. It's more of a proactive card to get rid of my opponent's stuff. Say back row, or say like a problem monster, or say your stupid Rainbow Ruins. Yeah, this is a way to get rid of it instantly. Haha.
Nice.
Okay. Now we're gonna get into the more non-traditional stuff, I guess. More choice here than not. This will wrap up the spell count. 1 shared ride. This is just a
Shared
meme
ride.
right now. It's been fun to mess around with because no one really expects it, so it's just been fun to use. If you want to use something better, use Droll and Lock or something like that. I don't know. Your choice there.
But who has the money for that?
I mean, yeah, like this is more of a practical build rather than an optimized build. Again, we're in beta. Not really using any hand traps. You can use hand traps in this deck. I'm
What'd you take out?
the biggest fan of it. I would drop a few spells to make it lower, and I would just keep the core. So some of the monsters that I'm using, like Thrasher, I'd probably drop Thrasher. I'd probably drop Cloud Dragon. Drop like a wizard. Drop a cleric. Drop Braver, probably entirely. But Yeah, there's a few cards that you can just drop and keep like a major core of just like Vanisher, Galaxy Soldier, Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon, Galaxy Knight, Wizard, and just Wizard, and maybe 1 or 2 Orbital, and that would probably be it for the core, and then you can just run hand traps from there. But once you do that, it becomes like, I don't know, it doesn't make it like less fun necessarily, it just becomes like less, I think it like less flexible per se. You get less flexibility with that and you're more stuck into what you can do. But the action deck is pretty interesting, so it's not like you're losing out on a lot. That's where most of the flexibility comes into play. 1 shared ride, just for the meme, because why not? It's been fun. Usually draw 1 or 2 cards off of this. 2 training, good way to get rid of your extra level 8s that you might have.
Except for Rob.
Good way to get rid of any extra level 8s that you might have drawn, like Knight, like Braver, like Galaxy Eyes. Say you're like in a tough position and you need to get rid of something, this is a great way to do it. You draw a few cards to see what else you can work with. Accelight, only 1. We're only running 1 because we don't really want to clog our hands with it. Having 1, I don't think this isn't really a controversial choice. I would say most people like to use 1. It's just a good way if you don't have like a normal summon in your hand, which can happen in this deck. Sometimes you only have special summons in your hand. You can just use this, get rid of your normal summon, bring out a wizard, search something out to help extend your plays, or make it so that you're safer if something bad happens. Like getting a trance or something. Okay, that's good to know. Don't worry, we're gonna take another half hour here. 1 Galaxy Cyclone. Back row hasn't been much of a problem with the other choices that we're using, but obviously sometimes it can be an issue. So having Cyclone is a good way to hopefully get rid of some of that back row that might be problematic.
Plus you use it with your Photon Lord.
Same house as Matt.
They're recording, dude.
Okay, so Galaxy Cyclone, good way to get rid of back row. Only need 1 just in case. This is like a just in case card. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's whenever I draw it. It's almost always been useful when I've drawn it, so that's been cool. Cool. And then 1 Reborn. Yeah, Reborn is Reborn. It's a good card to have. Just a good way to get around people stopping your plays or extending them further. Cool. Okay, that wraps up the spell code. Okay. We're gonna make this into like
is that how you
5
say it?
packs.
Spell counts?
Spell count. Yes. So, traps. 2 Photon Change, 2 Tachyon Transmigration. 3 is excessive, 1 is a
No,
little too
card's
much.
annoying.
2 is excessive, or 3 is excessive, sorry. 1 is too little. So having 2 is good because having this is not a bad thing at all. It's a great way to cycle through cards and you get certain Photon cards to your hand and summoning Galaxy Eyes, assuming that you just have like a normal Photon monster on the field, or Galaxy monster for that matter, and you brick. This is a great way to like get back into game. This card has caused a lot of strife for the people in the group. Tachyon Transmigration, as long as you control the Galaxy Eyes, you can activate this in a chain and get to everything in that chain and spins any cards that were on the field back into the deck that were activated. Great card for stopping your opponent's plays or any response that they might have. Good card for Galaxy Eyes, Tachyon Dragon as well, since you can use it from your hand. Otherwise, this is just like, it's like the solemn warning strike judgment of this deck. Just in the form of a Galaxy-only card. Pretty good. I enjoy it quite a bit. As opposed, same argument for change. 1 is too little, you won't really see it that often. This is a card you want to see, but you don't want to see it excessively too much, as in like running 3. So having 2 is a good medium. Same thing with change. Okay, extra deck time. Time for the most unorthodox sleeves you've seen in your life.
Oh gosh, what's going on?
Alright. 3 of the Link Monster. The Link Monster has been an incredible addition to this deck. It's been able to let you extend your plays more. You have 2 zones to target for XYZ monsters and other Link Monsters that you might want to run in this deck. I personally don't use any other Link Monsters besides this. Really, really good card. lets you negate your opponent's stuff. Just phenomenal. You can add a Photon or Galaxy monster from your graveyard to your hand. You can even bring this back. So it's just, if you happen to see yourself summoning a lot in the game that you're playing, bringing this back into your from your graveyard back to your deck is a great thing to do with this card as well. If that's what you need to do. Very flexible, extends your plays, negates your opponent's stuff. I don't know what more I can say about this card that I haven't said already. Do I go into this 3 times? There have been games where it's been extended enough to the point where having 3 was actually really, really important. So having 3 is important. As opposed to 2. Some people play 2. That might work for them if they're trying to close up the game as fast as possible. The games that we play here, usually that doesn't end up happening. So having 3 has been really, really good. Okay. Let's do all of the non-rank 8s. And Fusion. Okay. Starliege, the duo of the deck.
There we go.
With an additional annoying guy.
Ooh, interesting.
I know, some people found it interesting that I don't have spot for this, or that I happen to have space for this card. I just dropped Dark Matter for this, because I found this card getting stopped more often than not, if they were going to stop my plays. So having this as a punish has been really, really nice. I've had it happen.
Yeah, because they don't expect you to have a target for Nova.
Yeah, so having this has been relevant 4 to 5 times so far. Dark Matter hasn't really been that relevant as opposed to some of the other cards, you know. Otherwise, 1 Starliege Photon Blast Dragon. He's good. I only usually need 1, so having 1 has been like solid, because usually you won't go into like a rank 4 having those 2 level 4s. Plus then there's competition between that and Galaxy has Solflare. Otherwise, yeah, this card, good for protecting your stuff, good against Regeki and like other board wiping mechanics. Makes so you can't target level or 2,000 attack or higher monsters, excuse me. So having this is good protection. It's a good way to stop your opponent from screwing with your stuff, and it's a good way to get Galaxy Eyes out of your hand. So one of the ways to get Galaxy Eyes out of your hand is this card. Special summon it. It's also a good way to get back banished Galaxy Eyes. So I've had this happen a few times as well. I've been playing against banished decks because one of our friends plays a banished deck and he's a jerk. No, you. Okay.
He's at 32 minutes.
Having this is it's a good way to get back to Galaxy Eyes. Cool.
It's the same layout as Matt's.
Alright.
Also, want like a 5-minute back profile. Keep attention with a 5-minute back profile. Bam,
Nah,
bam, bam.
dude, we need to describe this stuff.
If people really want to know what the card does, they'll look it up online.
It's true, but we're not just talking about that.
He's going in depth.
Sorry if you can or can't hear that. Just random conversation we may or may not cut out. Oh yeah, actually, let's do this first.
I don't want to cut it out.
Great. Lazy editor over here. Okay, let's go into our normal rank 8s before going into our overlays. So let's grab each of these. Okay.
Ooh.
So.
Nice ghost rares.
Yeah. Okay. On the farthest to the left. Oh yeah, sorry for the...
That looks nice.
Actually, no, I'm not sorry for the random sleeves. They are the best thing.
What is this one? Is this the one that Mark made for you?
This is
Wow.
what a friend made us before we ended up departing for the summer. It was a touching moment.
Abhi's
He made
camel.
sleeves for all of that.
Jeffrey.
Yes. So, he made a sleeve for me. I've been using that for the ace in the hole for quite some time. So I've been playing this deck for about, a long time. When this came out, it was, oh my god, new boss monster. So, I put it there. Put it in that sleeve. Alright, and it's been there ever since. Farthest left, Hope Harbinger. Hope Harbinger negates spell. It's a really good card. Running more than one is silly. You only ever need one usually. It's a good card. Good card. Use Galaxy as well, so you can use
What is that?
some of the Galaxy.
Drago, Titanico,
it's
Galactico.
My Italian Hope Harbinger Dragon. Dope. But yeah, Hope Harbinger, solid card. Use a galaxy, so he works with other galaxy effects as well. If you ever need to use another like you can summon Night by having this on field because it counts as a galaxy. So it's a pretty cool card.
Pretty much, you just wait.
Alright, this one over here, is that Neo? No, it's Galaxy S Tachyon Dragon. Tachyon Dragon, good card as a toolbox card. Negates monster effects. Good to have in case you run into an opponent where you can't target them, but their effects tend to be very, very obnoxious. So this is a good way to get over that is to go into battle phase, activate this effect, negate monster effects on the field permanently, and just make it so that you can, if anything happens in battle phase, you can attack again and gain an attack boost. So it's just a good card to have as negate. He also helps us if in the case that you don't need him in a duel, he's a good card to just go into to help overlay on top. So yeah, good card. Good card as like a toolkit card, like one of those like toolbox cards. Say you ever need something like that. So he's a nice card to use there. All right. Next, Neo Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon. Same principle. This card negates all all cards on the field that your opponent controls that are face up if you use Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon.
Ooh, I got it just right there.
Did you?
That looks good.
Yeah. If you use Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon, which you probably will, usually the XYZ effect doesn't really tend to be relevant, but the fact that you can negate your opponent's face-up card effects if you need to without targeting them, this is a great card to do that. So just a face-up board wipe. Pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. Another one of those toolbox cards. Okay. This card has been a fantastic addition to this deck. Number 90 Galaxy Ice Photon Lord. This, I can't talk enough about this card. We're already so late. It's a phenomenal card. Running 2 would be just as good of an option if you wanted to. Usually I don't go into this more than once a game, and if I need to go into him again, usually I'll just bring him back with either Galaxy Cleric or the Link Monster and put him back in the extra deck. Great card. Negates your opponent's monster effects. Can't be destroyed by card effects if you use the right stuff. It's going to attach and search any Galaxy or Photon card, which is absolutely phenomenal for this deck. So, having this card is amazing. Only unfortunate part is you can't add cards on your turn. You can only add it on your opponent's turn. Otherwise, that would be straight busted. So, all good. Alright, Galaxy S Cypher Dragon. Cypher Dragon, just a good card to have as like another one of those tech cards that you can just go into to help overlay on top of. Usually this is what you will start with. Yeah. Usually you'll start with this one. I usually go into Tachyon Dragon to make sure I have that as an option. This one, not as big of a deal. Plus he works with Cypher Blade to bring him back if necessary. So he's a good card to have. We'll talk about that. Actually, let's talk about that right now.
Ooh.
We'll save you.
The Bakugan mat.
Oh my god.
We're about to do a Bakugan tournament soon.
Forbidden Squee Bakugan tournament. It works with Cypher Blade Dragon, Cypher Blade. Works with this. If he dies, then you can resummon this one. So using this one first is useful because you can take advantage of this effect and resummon him from the graveyard if he dies. Cool. That's Cypher. Cypher, take your opponent. Something funny with this card. If your opponent has a Link Monster, and you take it with Galaxy S Cypher Dragon, I'm not 100% positive, but I'm like 90% sure, if it's a Link Monster and you take it with this, the Link arrows are synergized with it as well. So when you take it, it still keeps its Link arrows, and you can put it in any main monster zone. So you can pretty much take advantage of extra Link arrows if your opponent has a Link Monster. That's pretty cool. Next. Prime Photon, good for OTKs, good for having, if your opponent has, like, not very many life points left. Good for, like, last, like, say you've chipped away at your opponent's life points a decent amount, you just need to kill them now. This is a good way to do that. You can just attack over, you can just attack your opponent for a lot of attack. Pretty self-explanatory, plus he has, like, a revival effect. That usually isn't very relevant. Yeah! Okay. Sick voice crack. Talked about Cypher Blade earlier. Other boy, Photon, full armor. One is good. You can use 2 as well. I don't usually need 2. One usually tends to be good enough with Cleric and the Link Monster to bring them back if necessary. Usually if you're going into either of these two, your opponent is losing a lot of cards as well. Last two cards, Galaxy has Full Armor and Galaxy has Cypher Blade. So Full Armor is great because you can detach and just blow up a face-up card. The only stipulations is face-up, so getting to back row isn't that easy, but the benefit of having Full Armor is that you can overlay on top of him. The problem with Dark Matter, and here I'll pull it out actually right now. So the problem with Dark Matter and with Cypher Blade is that you can't overlay on top of them anymore. That's why you really don't like Dark Matter, is because Cypher Blade is a lot better than Dark Matter. In Dark Matter, the only thing that you can do with Dark Matter is attack twice. Usually getting someone low to that point, it's monster cards too. Usually when you blow stuff up that much, you won't need to get rid of their monster cards because they'll probably be one of the things that you're blowing up. So Cypher Blade is just an additional blow up, and he brings back Cypher. So when you use Cypher in the beginning of your set chain, if he gets destroyed, you can just bring back Cypher. So that's just a nice insurance policy, and it lets you have a Galaxy on the field for the next turn if that doesn't get destroyed. So I think Cypher Blade is just a lot better than Dark Matter, which is why I don't run Dark Matter anymore. Dropped in for Cypher Blade. Otherwise, that's the deck profile.
Alright.
A long 45-ish minutes.
Kind of. We
Something
have
like that.
Dr. Galaxy here to
Yep.
thank us for the awesome Galaxy deck profile.
Yep. Hopefully, if you have any questions, send them in the comments. I'll try to answer as best as I can. We sort of did like a mid-level pilot of Galaxies and Photons together. High level, I'm not sure if we're ever going to get there. But if you want it, just ask. We'll talk about combos and stuff. And
Alright.
logistics of the deck and whatnot. Alright, awesome. Thank you.